I found my way home across the Grand Mirage.
Hi, yes, it's the Allison Arngrim Show, and I'm Allison Arngrim. Well, some of you may remember me as evil Nellie Olson from Little House on the Prairie, but tonight I am Allison Arngrim, and this is the Allison Arngrim Show. And here on the Allison Arngrim Show, we talk about things that make you feel good. The movies and the television shows that made you feel good, and the people who made them, and people who are doing things now to make the world a better and more interesting place. And oh, do I have one tonight? Yes, I'm very excited. Okay, first of all, did you know, because I did not know this, did you know that next week, February 20th, is Love Your Pet Day? Now, according to the cats, Roswell and Morticia, every day is Love Your Pet Day. But apparently it's Love Your Pet. I didn't know this. So this fabulous book happens to be coming out. It's absolutely marvelous. I've been hearing about it, and indeed it's going into pre-sales. You can get it now. It's like any minute it's going to be out. So I have on this amazing woman. It's a book called In Good Company, and it's personalities, people that you know, famous people, and their pets. Please welcome Johanna Sigmund.
Hello, Allison. How are you? That's a great intro.
I'm so excited. So, this is amazing. As I said, this is going to be huge. I'm looking at the list of people, and they sent over some of the pictures. It's just mind blowing. People say, "Oh, yeah, I take pictures of people and their pets." Yeah, sure. At Sears. This is major. These pictures, what you've done, the moments you've captured with these people and their animals, it's a whole other thing. It's the relationship. How do you do this?
So I'm so glad you mentioned that, because it's very interesting. That is the biggest challenge about talking about my work, because when people say, well, what kind of photography do you do? I say pet portraits, and then this little bit of an eye glaze happens. And then I'll show them to them, and then the reaction is universally, oh my God, these are amazing. And you're absolutely right. These are relationship pictures. These capture a moment that is unique to that particular relationship. And a lot of work goes into it before I even show up. I cannot just show up at somebody's house with my lights and my cameras. The process starts with this question intake about their private life, hobbies, what do you like doing, what are things you and your pet like to do, and they give me all of this information, and from whatever mysteries of the universe of how creativity works, I will get a picture in my head of what I want to do, and that's the concept. So when I share it with them, they participate in it by approving this, and saying, no, let's work on something else. And when we agree on the concept, then we book the session. And because everything's prepared, because I know exactly what I'm going for, it's very fast. From the moment I drive up to the moment I drive away, it's 1 hour. That's everything. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to try and make it look like this natural moment that's happening between the pet and the owner. And all of them, I think, really succeeding in getting that heart thing, that the love. And we're talking about love on Valentine's Day. How appropriate is this? Oh my God.
And I know a lot of people, my friends have been posting on Facebook that they don't have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. So they're like, yeah, this is me on Valentine's Day, and it's the cat. And yes.
Well, but I would add, if you do not have a special someone or a special furry, feathered, scaly somebody thing, then love yourself. There is no greater love than self-love. So, it is about celebrating love. Is it not necessarily about celebrating a relationship?
Right. It doesn't say what kind of
love. Huh?
It doesn't say what kind of love. It can be any love. Yes.
Any kind of love, right? Absolutely. If you have a pet rock, I won't come photograph it, but celebrate that, right?
Yeah, the pets need to actually move. Now, do you have pets yourself?
I no longer have pets now. It's been a while. I know, but here's the good news. I'm sort of like the grandma, the pet grandma. I come and visit. I have a great time, and I leave all the raising and the cleaning up after. to the parents. It's wonderful. It's like I'm living the life. I love it.
So it's great. You get in a way. I mean, it's fabulous. You're almost, sort of getting your vicarious like pet love of visiting these other people and like
I do.
and immortalizing them and their animals. I mean, it's
I do, and I get them at their best because it's uh, in the process of doing the shoot. There are a lot of, I wouldn't call them tricks, techniques. There are a lot of techniques involved in photographing pets to elicit behaviors or emotions or expressions or stuff like that. And it could be a number of things. It could be a toy, it could be a treat, it could be a behavior, or there are different ways of getting animals to respond in the way that I want. But just being with their person is usually enough. And because
and photos often the pet's very active in the picture. So
well,
yeah.
and because the concepts are specifically built around behaviors and rituals and things that they already do in their daily life, it's not like they're learning a trick for me.
Right.
They're just doing the thing that they normally do, and that's what makes them look natural and real, like immortalized. It's an immortalized moment about the relationship. Yeah.
Now, of course, in this case with the book, you have major celebrities. I mean, of course, my friend Dee Wallace, who we love, who's been on the show, we just adore generally in real life. She wrote the foreword for your book
She
as
wrote the
well.
foreword. Yes. Yeah. Dee was actually seminal in this project. I've known her for years. I was in the biz for a number of years, mostly theater, and I did directing. I directed a while, and that's how I met Dee. I directed her in a play, and we remained friends for many years. But she saw these photos and said, "Woman, you have to do a book." And so she's been pushing me to do this. But what's interesting is, for as long as I've been doing these portraits, that has been the reaction. From the very first one I ever did, a man with his chicken. And
Excuse me, your first one was a man and his chicken?
a man and his
This is
chicken.
a
Yeah. Oh, it's an awesome shot.
What?
Yeah. I'll have to. I should send it to you in the separately. It's not in the book, but that was the very first one, and people looked at it and go, "You need to do a book of these," and so here we are.
But that's hilarious. Starting with a chicken, and how did it really come about? Because I'm reading how your background originally was in theater
Yeah.
and was in acting, and then and talking about of course that lent itself to with lighting and costuming and understanding all these concepts. But
Yeah.
how did you go from a background of theater to, hey, this picture with this chicken's really good. I need to. You wind up doing this.
By the way, someone asked me how many different species I photographed, and I have to go back 27. I've done 27 different kinds of animals. Yeah.
Species.
And in the book, I have, well, cats, dogs. I've got rats. I've got a snake. I've got donkeys. Oh, donkeys! Don't get me started on donkeys. Oh my God! If I had the room, I'd own donkeys. They're like giant dogs. They're
And we think of them
amazing.
as stubborn and difficult, but apparently they're quite sweet.
They're incredibly smart. They have one of the highest emotional IQs of any animal, besides the human, and they bond very deeply. They have great senses of humor. Yeah, and they're so cute. They're so cute. But how I got started was when the transition from, so I believe in fate almost when it comes to your biz, because it's a really tough biz. Show business.
You can prepare all you want, but there's so much luck involved that it's completely crazy. Yeah. Yes.
There's so much luck. I in the 30 years that I was in it, I mean, I did dozens and dozens and dozens of 99-seat theater stuff, but I couldn't get an agent. And all the reviews were, and Johanna was stellar, and Johanna is a breakout, and Johanna was this, and nothing. I guess I fell between the cracks in terms of type. destiny, luck, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't in the cards for me. So
But
I
I
spent
I
more
know that
time.
feeling because that's how it is in LA and getting anyone to come to a show in LA. It's
Yeah,
like New York, they come through the snow, Canada, they
yes,
come through the blizzards.
there's
LA, it rains for 2 minutes, I can't come to your
yeah,
workshop.
there's a clouds. Like, how am I not leaving the house? Oh my God, you know.
Getting people out of the house in LA to go to the theater. So yeah, so you there you were. So you were the greatest actress in history of the 99 seat black
Yeah,
box theater. You
yeah,
were the
and if you
Meryl
weren't
Streep
there,
of the
it's
black
gone.
box. But who you can get in LA? It's like and now get anyone to come and like get it and see
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
and the weird
I get it.
thing is that I was in New York at the time. I was born in New York, raised in Mexico, moved back to New York for work, and I started doing acting in New York. And I realized that theater, you're not going to get rich doing theater really. So I thought, okay, I'll go to LA and get into the movies. And I ended up coming to LA and doing theater. So my plan was flawed from the beginning. It was but so I spent more time trying to get out of the business, but I couldn't find anything that gave me that I had a passion about the way I loved performing. I love the immediacy of theater and connecting. I've always been about connecting with people and really guiding them through the emotional roller coaster that theater can be. So in 2007, I had breast cancer,
Mm.
and the chemo changed how my brain worked. So I couldn't memorize things. I couldn't. My access to words was really hampered. So I couldn't write anymore, and my creative outlets were sort of stymied. It was very frustrating, very very depressed. 3 years of searching and trying, and I remembered because I've had a camera since I was 10 years old. My first camera was a Kodak Instamatic, which I'm sure was your first camera, right? America's first camera was a Kodak Instamatic. And
And Michael Landon did the commercials for the Kodak Instamatic. So yeah,
yeah, there you go.
right.
Exactly. Yes. Oh, look, full circle. I love it. So I started, I joined an online photo community that had weekly themed challenges. And it was on there that I rediscovered my enjoyment of photography. And I realized that even though I couldn't use words to tell my story, that because I couldn't retain the storyline as I was struggling to get the words, the storyline went away. It was very frustrating. And what I realized is that with pictures, if I saw it in my head, I could remember the picture. One picture, I could remember that. And that's what, if I get it in my head, I can put it in a picture. And that's how my photography evolved. But this idea of doing what you were saying is how did I get from that to photographing people with their pets was in the aftermath when I was first learning my photography and honing my skills and getting the
Which
technique.
is a brilliant transition when you go, okay, I was acting creative. Now this is becoming impossible to do. Wait, I work visually. Photography. That's very clever. So some part of your brain was really going
It was
overtime
definitely
the day
working.
you came up with
Absolutely.
that.
There's a few, I have a little piece that works overtime. The rest of it I'm not so sure about. But the the excitement of realizing that I once again had access to my creativity, uh, and now with my entire life of experience in theater of how to talk to people, how to light things, balance and color and shadow and light, intention, all of those skills that I learned over all those years were perfect for photography. And a friend of mine asked me to do her headshots. I still hadn't figured out what I wanted to photograph. I was doing architecture headshots. I was doing street photography. There's so many genres. It's overwhelming to finally zoom in. I cannot say the word. Zoom in on your specialty. And when we were finishing the session, her dog came in and sat down at her feet. And she said, "Hey, do you mind taking a picture of us? Because he's really ancient and I don't think he's going to be around for much longer." And I'm like, "Sure, no problem." So the dog was at her feet and she was sitting in a chair, and it just, nothing was happening. So I said, "Why don't you just get down on the floor with him? The poor guy can't get up." And as she got down on the floor and I joined them on the floor, to be at the right height, all of a sudden the relationship started to happen, and the energy in the and my eye, like my heartbeat raised, my this hair on my arms was standing. I'm like, oh my God, I want to do this for the rest of my life, because what I realized is that I could capture what was happening between them. And that's what this book is about. This is photographs of people with their most cherished critter other than their children. I'm going to guess. I don't know. But maybe like
could be. You never know. The dog
you never
might
know. I
come
want to judge,
sometimes.
right? So that was
What
the
did you have? I mean, Ed Asner. For God's sake. What was it like, Ed Asner? What kind of pet did he have, and what was that like, shooting Ed Asner with his pet?
Well, Ed is what you see. What you see is what you get with Ed. Ed is he cultivated that character and he lived that character. He pulls no punches. He has no finesse. He's Ed.
It's like the lovable curmudgeon, brilliant.
Curmudgeon. I mean, I think if you look up curmudgeon in the dictionary, there's a picture of Ed, and he was the way numerous ways I got introduced to these people, but my first contact with them is to explain my project and send them a link to my site, which is johannasigmund.com. There are a lot of other people with their pets' photos on there that are not in the book. These are all, an accumulation of what I've done over the years. And to be clear, they're all as special as the ones in the book. It's not like I have extra special, really good ones that I put in the book. They're all really good, extra special. And that's their introduction to it. And like everybody who sees it, it's like, oh, pet portraits, I don't know. And then they look at these and they go, oh yeah, no. So the response is, I would say 98% of the people that I got connected with were absolutely on board. And when I told Ed my concept, which was, Ed has received more awards than any human on earth.
Right.
It's tons and tons and tons of them. And I said, how about, because he had said to me, one of the things in the intake, one of the things he said is, well, I finally got myself a dog because I really just needed a pal. And so I said, okay, how about you're coming home, it's after hours from one of these award shows, you're still wearing your tux, and, just hanging out with your bud and a stogie and a, glass of scotch or something. Goes, let's do it. So we did it, and that's what the image is.
And what kind of dog does he have?
He has a bulldog. Of course. I mean,
of course he has the bulldog one. What else would he have? That's what
would he
have? The stogie and the bulldog. I think it's like Churchill.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know if you're going to show the photos, but
which photos do we have? I know I sent on a couple to the engineers a few days ago. I don't know which ones they've got in there.
I don't know which ones they got, but I think Ed is one of the ones that they've shared. But he's in a cloud of smoke, and it's got that moody after hours look about it. And they both have the head tilt. Right. Yeah. And so I'll give your viewers, if anybody wants to take pictures of their pet, and this is a well-known secret among pet photographers. I'm not, revealing magic tricks or anything like that. But if you want your dog to do a reliable head tilt, there are two ways to do it. We call that a baroo. A baroo? Yeah. You can either use you can buy a squeaky toy thing. You don't need a squeaky toy, but you can get a little squeezy noise thingy. That'll do it. Or you can squeak yourself. You can go, a little squeak like that, and they'll tilt. One of the shoots that I did that's not in the book is a pit bull, a little black pit bull called Boo. And okay, Boo, I fell in love with Boo. Boo has my heart. And I have never worked with a dog that was more head tilt prone than Boo. Boo, I mean, I just go, and she'd do it to the other side too. It was just, I'd get it. And her mom kept cracking up. She said, I've never seen her do this before. So I hear that a lot. I've never seen is one of the phrases that I get a lot from me, because, I mean, and we could talk about this a little bit as well. I'm about energy. Everything's about
Mhm.
energy. And I call myself the Deanna Troy of pet photographers because I I have this.
Doggy empath.
I'm a dog. Well, I'm an energy empath, and
Mhm, mhm.
regardless of species, I literally physically feel other beings' energy. I can tell the minute their mood changes without them saying or doing anything. I can actually feel a shift. I can't describe what that's like, but when I arrive at a shoot, the first thing I do is I call it calibrating with the pet because I want to come in and have them accept me as part of the furniture. I don't want them performing tricks for me or acting differently for me. I want them to be them with their human. So the way I do that is try and make myself as boring as
There
possible to them.
you go.
Yeah, that's
Look at that. Yeah, that's our D. Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
that's fantastic.
yeah.
Oh,
And
who is
that's
that
Ed.
with the little baby dog there?
That's Ed. Yeah, Ed
Oh,
Begley. So that's
oh.
Bunny.
Ed Bagley is so adorable, and we just had him on the show. So yeah, that's just, of
Yeah,
course, you be
and
out there
that's
in the
of course
garden.
Francis Fisher with
Oh,
Batman in August. So when I arrived, so the concept when I and Richard Karn when I arrived at Francis, we had a sometimes sorry about that. This thing keeps dinging. Sometimes the concept we come up with doesn't pan out, not the way it for X Y reason. It's not
well,
a failure.
animals. I mean, I can't get those cats to do a damn thing, and that's the thing. So you get an idea. Wouldn't it be great? Oh, we'll do this thing with the pet, and if the pet's like, nah,
Yeah, cats
what do you do?
cats are the hardest to shoot for sure. They're the
Cats,
hardest to
right?
shoot. Yes,
How do because I mean, dogs have that bond with humans, that
yeah.
pack mentality where they're together. So if the others in the pack are like, "Hey, this is what we're doing. We're taking pictures today,"
Well,
dogs are going,
they
yeah,
have the
okay."
call response thing. They do. Dogs do respond to you, and cats are pretty much like, I'm ignoring
How
you just because you
do
want
you
my
shoot a
attention.
cat?
I'm ignoring.
How do you shoot a cat at all? Because I've always wondered that. Because my cats, and I have one cat that likes cameras. In fact, I'd have them in the room right now, but we
Uh-huh.
have to put Roswell in the other room because she is obsessed. Morticia, no, Morticia doesn't, will like run if you go to take her picture. Roswell would now be on the back of the chair or trying to knock over the
That
tripod
would have been
because she's
appropriate for this
obsessed.
segment, don't you think?
May have to let her out halfway through. You know, she's like, meow.
Oh, I
how
think.
how do you shoot a cat? How do you shoot a cat?
Well, let me just say, for as a paren, I think the pandemic Zoom brought to us many wonderful moments courtesy of cats who would just regularly show their butts to the to the world.
What in?
So with cats, I don't. I was going to try and come with something clever, but no, cats are much more cleverer than I. And it really, again, the calibration thing when depending on the cat, some cats. A shoot that I did a while ago, also not in the book. A friend of mine said, "Well, I have a cat I want to do, but the problem is he runs away whenever he hears the doorbell." And I'm like, well, that would be an insurmountable problem. We could not do a pet shoot. He says, well, what do we do? I said, well, why don't I just come over and see what happens? So he's in the neighborhood. I went on over there. He opened the door. The cat comes out and rubs himself, does the 8 things through my legs. And he's looking at the cat going, I don't know this cat. I don't know whose cat that is. That's not my cat. What is happening here? So he said, we'll be fine. And again, that's me just trying to meet the animal where they are without me coming and going, oh, I'm a person. I try to be,
Meeting where they are. So the animals get it. They're like, okay,
for
she's
the most
willing to
part.
like communicate.
Yes,
So
for the most part. So I think all animals communicate one way or another, and it's up to me to be sensitive enough and open enough to receive their message. And that's what the shoot's all about. How can I receive your message? How can I get you to get my message? And
right.
with cats, you have to be really fast. Well, actually, most dogs are impossible. Dogs, I get 30 seconds tops. But with cats, it's about coming up with the right concept making sure it's something the cat does all the time anyway. There's a picture I shot with Tierney Sutton, who's this magnificent, acclaimed jazz singer. She's just incredible, and she has this cat that likes licking her chest, and she does that all the time. So it was a matter of just waiting for the cat to figure out that, oh, this is the time for me to come and lick her chest, and that's one of the pictures that's in the book. So you come up with the concept. It's all about the concept. Like I said, I can't just show up without a concept, and it must incorporate behaviors, rituals, things that they do that are just part of their daily life.
And just as a list, my friend Dee, of course, and the Fabulous People. Oh, Gabrielle Stone, I know, of course. Adam Schiff. You shot Adam Schiff.
I did. I shot with Adam.
What's Adam Schiff? Is he a cat person? Is he a dog person?
Well, he's an all things are wonderful person.
Oh.
He happens to own dogs. Mia, who is in the book, sadly, she passed away just a few months after we did that shoot. She was also very old, but the photo, when I told, the intake, it's with everybody, regardless of who you are. I ask these questions, they send me information. It's the same process no matter who the person is. And it turns out that Mia loved tennis balls, and balls is a frequently recurring theme in the book. With dogs, balls is but everybody's relationship with the ball is different because it's a different type of ball. They do different things with the ball. The person and the animal, use the ball differently. Like the one with Dee has a ball as well. The image of Dee, she says, he has this basket of toys, and the only thing he picks out of there is the ball. So that's the picture is with the ball. But with Adam, he said, oh, she loves her tennis balls. So I said, what if we just fill the room with tennis balls? And he said, sure, let's do that. And so the odd thing is, his district is in Los Angeles. I live in Los Angeles, but we had to schedule the shoot in DC, which is where the dog was. And so I flew out there, and he arrived the day of the shoot from Los Angeles. It was all very silly. But when he walked in, he just started laughing. He's like, this is so great. There's tennis balls everywhere. They're on the table, on the mantle behind him, in the lamp, on the chair where he's sitting. And Mia was overcome with excitement, and she
all the tennis balls in the world.
Balls. And she would walk through them, and because she was arthritic, she kept kicking them everywhere. So I was exhausted. I had to run and gather them and set them back up again. But the resulting image, I got a letter from him thanking me on letterhead. And I do want to make very, very clear, in the image he's holding a folder with the Intelligence Committee seals on them, but there were no classified documents.
There were not classified documents in the picture with the dog. No. Well, I'm in his district. We're up here in Tahunga. So yes.
Oh, excellent.
He comes down here for our 4th of July parade. We have a goofy, rinky-dink 4th of July parade, and by God, he's in it. He's down there and everything. So I want to see those. I want to see Norman Lear. He photographed Norman Lear.
Norman Lear, yeah, that was really funny. I was at his home taking photos of some of his art for someone's book, and he said, so is this your regular gig? I'm like, no, I do people with their pets.
Regular gig.
And he said, oh, that'll never work. I hate my pets. And I'm like, oh, I have the perfect concept for you. And we stood there, and this is the funniest thing. I told him what the concept was. He says, oh my God, we need to do that. So we pulled out our phones to schedule, and I said, well, how about Tuesday? He goes, Tuesday? No, I'm having lunch with Nancy Reagan. So
right?
Yeah, like, doesn't everybody, right? So, and then we scheduled it for a couple of days later, and the resulting image, he loved it. He had a print made. It's hanging outside of his home office. And he too, he sent an email. He had his assistant send me an email. He called me to tell me the image was, I love that image.
How did this take? Because this is a lot of people.
I
This is
know.
a lot of people. How long over a period of time of all these shoots did this take to put this book together?
And now you're talking about the hardest thing about this,
Hmm.
and that is scheduling.
Yeah,
This is a labor of love over the last 10 years. This is been a
10 years.
10-year
This is
project.
10 years in the
10
making.
years.
I said.
10 years to get this far, yes. And that's a lot of it because of scheduling. And a lot of people, some people, it was like 9 months out, or, I can't schedule until I get the questions, and they just couldn't get to the questions. So I get asked, well, how did you decide who is in the book? I'm like, the ones I could schedule, because
It's what
at
you
some
get.
point there's a deadline, right? At some point you have to draw the line and say, okay, I could go on and do this for 30 years and, have a whatever, but for me to finally put this into print, I had to draw the line, and some people just couldn't. We just couldn't make it happen.
Yeah, you get to be into 10 years. You go, okay, finally we are done. Now,
Yeah,
it's also, it's a benefit. That's the other thing. So people who aren't already ready to order this book, like immediately now, it's for an organization, the Apex Protection Project,
correct.
which is created to save the wolf species. It's for wolves.
Well, yes.
I love
So
wolves.
there's a little bit of a parallel here. So I believe that we are living in really polarized times, and we are.
Oh, you noticed that, did you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just only a little bit, and and I think that we are in this place where we are demonizing things we don't agree with or don't like, and that's what's happened with the wolves. They're being hunted to extinction because they're being painted as evil, vermin, vicious, man eaters. It's insane.
Werewolves, monsters,
Yes,
werewolves.
monsters. So
Yes.
I had the good fortune of visiting Apex Protection Project and their sanctuary, and it's the complete opposite. Wolves are extremely shy. They're actually very cautious around humans. They have a very powerful pack hierarchy. The alpha dog takes care of all the other animals. They have incredible maternal parenting skills. So,
Well, and the alpha thing, that's another thing about wolves, because wolves mate for life.
yes,
And there's often, the alpha is often, it's a couple or it's a
yes,
female. And years ago, somebody wrote a book and they got the idea that, oh, that it's always a male wolf and that it's the alpha male and he's tough. And there are people to this day who go, yeah, I want to be like the lone wolf. I want to be the alpha male.
yes.
And it's like, well, you are
Oh,
mistaken, because the alpha is, it's a family, and
yes,
the alpha is the couple, like the mom and dad.
yeah. And
And it,
often it's the female.
and it's a
In
female, and the alpha, whoever they are, their job is to in fact take care of
yes,
the other wolves, not rule over them, but like practically babysit and take care of the children. It's a completely different thing. Wolves, they mate for life, they're a family, they're not lone wolf alphas. It's like completely not their
it's like the
personality. It's like
opposite. If
other
you
thing.
are in the Los Angeles area, Apex Protection Project has guided hikes with the wolves that you can join. So you can check them out. Yes, yes, yes. And in fact, if you're
I
interested, let me
remember
know. We'll
years
go.
ago, wolves were, they were being suspected of, I think it was at Montana or something. They said, well, are they killing the sheep? And understandably, the shepherds and the people with the cows were going, oh, the wolves are going to eat the livestock. But they're showing that wolves, they were eating things like mice.
Yes,
They were
correct.
eating
The
vermin. They
scat,
weren't
and
eating
yeah,
the sheep.
and also they're also eating the sick and the weak. I mean,
Yeah.
the most important and the best known story is Yellowstone National Park, that they eradicated all their wolves, and the park literally started to die. The meadows were drying up, the trees were dying, the herds were overgrown, so they were weak and filled with sickly animals. The streams stopped flowing because of the dams the beavers were building, and they finally reintroduced the wolves, and it was a miraculous transformation. In a year, everything seemed to be back to normal. So they have their place in the world, and I chose this particular charity because it's one thing we can do, one small step that can have enormous ramifications and repercussions throughout the ecosystem. And this book, in my own way, is about reminding people to live from a place from the heart, to go forth into the world, because energy begets energy, right? If we go out there with our heart open and expecting the best of people, and from a place of love and generosity and patience, that's what comes back to us. It's reflected back to us. Whereas if we go through life and leave the house in a state of anger and judgment and resentment, that's the energy that is reflected back to us. And it's, it's a practice. This is something you have to do consciously. And my book, for me, the way I'm framing it is, these images take you to that place. These images, when you look at them, make your heart leap, and they make your heart happy, and they fill your heart with joy and with love. And if we can remember that, if before we leave for work in the morning, you take a look at one of these pictures and go forth into the world with that sensation and with that intent, I believe that's like my little first step that can have much greater repercussions in the world at large.
See, that's why I love this, because it was like, this is way more about than pictures of pets. It's and nature in balance. When you talk about how when the wolves were gone and then everything basically went to hell in a handcart, it's just people don't realize there's a balance of how many of what they're supposed to be. It's very crazy. When my dad was living up in Vancouver and everything by the park, they were having to really stress to people, please don't feed the raccoons, because they're super cute and they're in the park, and people are like, and they couldn't resist it. And they said, no,
They
God,
sit there with
don't
their
feed the
little
raccoons.
hands, right? Yeah.
And little hands, they wear a little burglar mask. It's like that. So people would just go to Pete and they said, please, for the love of God, do not feed the raccoons. And they said, because it's a disaster. And I said, well, what happened? He goes, well, first of all, they start eating all this junk they're not supposed to be eating. They're not supposed to be eating popcorn, for God's sake. So they start eating things they shouldn't be eating, and they get sick. They said, but the worst part is, my dad said, well, they start to overpopulate because they're not having to look for food. So suddenly you have way too many raccoons, and they're also like fat and slow and not very good at being raccoons because they've eaten a bunch of junk. He said, but there's too many raccoons. And there is a thing that will happen when the raccoon population reaches a certain like saturation point. There's too many. They suddenly all develop plague. They start coming down with plague, which we can spread to humans and other animals. But they generally don't carry plague and don't have that when everything's fine. They like never have. But they hit a certain point and they start coming down with all these diseases and everything. He's like, so yeah, if you really don't want plague, don't give the raccoon your hot dog, because it's
plague.
Just wrong. And I'm like, that's horrifying. He goes, right, who knew? But when they got to a certain population, they suddenly broke out in all these weird diseases. And it was like, oh, wow, okay. Well, and so you have to have the wolves, you have to have the bears, you have to have all the critters. And I'm so thrilled you're doing
we're
this.
talking now about a much bigger global thing, everything being out of balance at the moment. And we anthropomorphize animals so that when you think that, I don't want, the wolves are bad, they kill the cattle. Well,
they're bad. They're mean because they eat other animals.
Horrible.
Surprise, surprise.
Well, what they're doing is they're culling the herd, because they will not go after the healthy ones. If there's plenty of food, first of all, like you said, they eat rodents, they eat small things. It takes a lot of energy to bring down a large animal. And in nature, wild animals are all about conserving energy because they don't know where their next meal is coming from. So you don't want to expend all this energy bringing down something when you can get a perfectly good rodent any time of day. So if they do go after cattle and livestock, it's generally a sick one. And here's the thing. I don't want to get too much into the woods with it because it's a very political thing. And I know that there are very strong feelings in places where there are wolves, about wolves. But there is a program, a government program, where any rancher who loses one of their animals to a wolf can get monetarily reimbursed for the loss of that animal.
There's wolf insurance.
There's wolf insurance. Yeah.
So if they do actually stop eating the rats and the mice that were eating your grain and infecting your whole house, if they actually stop that for 5 minutes, do kill a sheep. You can call a number and fill out some papers, and they'll pay you for the sheep. So
for the sheep or the and So and and the other thing is there's a real line here that is difficult to discuss, because a lot of the ranchers are grazing their animals on public lands. So,
which are like national park areas where, shockaroo, the wolves, bears.
Yes. So anyway, so Apex Predators, this is a long-winded
Balance
version
again.
to
It's
say
the
is,
nature. It's the nature and balance thing. When something goes one
yeah.
piece, you move one piece. Jenga. Nature is
Yes,
a big
yes, yes,
Jenga,
yes,
and you
total,
pull
yes,
out one of them
yeah.
little wooden things,
Ecosystem
and
Jenga,
everything
and
just goes. It's
yeah,
true. It's true. It's amazing. But I'm so pleased because so that there is, and this Apex program for the it's in LA. I can visit them. Is what you're telling me?
yes, they're out of Acton, like the Palmdale,
Oh, I know
Acton
where that
area.
is. Well, that's up near where Tippi Hedren and her lions. Hello.
Yes, yeah, I've been to Shambhala,
Yeah.
which is also, and these places exist because we humans are so disgusting. It's like, you know,
We have to do
it's like,
something.
I'm sorry, you don't buy a Sumatran tiger as a pet and then realize that his 6-inch canines can kill you. And
Having a
so
tiger in my house, it's a bad idea.
it's
Oops.
a bad
Right. And
idea, and it's
she
interesting
can kill
because,
those kitties because of that, because people do dumb things with
yes,
lions and tigers.
yeah.
And then, yeah.
I mean, and you look at social media right now, and TikTok, and all these things are filled with videos of people with exotic cats like servals and lynxes and bobcats and panthers, and those are all surrendered animals. Those are all rescued animals. These are not people's pets. I mean, they become pets because some of them are rescued from abuse. Some of them were ill and wouldn't have survived in the wild, or
Right.
they have some kind of condition that requires. So most of the people who own of these, not Tiger King, please, most of the people who own these exotic animals are doing it to care for them, and it's extremely expensive.
Right.
And
Well,
there's
that's at Dippy's place. Is they said it's like
yes,
a sanitarium or a mental hospital for big cats because they came from outrageous circumstance and
yeah,
they can't go back to the wild.
they
They're in
can't go
no
back to the
condition,
wild.
so they
Yeah.
have to stay at Dippy Hedren's house. But yeah, so this is gross. But I want to check out the Apex people and see what they're. Now you mentioned you have photographed snakes. Did any people in your book have a snake?
Yes, yes.
Who had the snake? Who had the snake?
Alex Brybeck. Alex Brybeck is a musical director. He accompanies people like Liz Calloway, all these jazz greats and cabaret stars. So the book it's not just people in showbiz. It's a cross section of a whole bunch of. There's an astronomer, there's a jewelry maker, there's a photographer, there's a whole range of people who, and I use the word notable intentionally versus famous, because these people are at the apex of their field. And they may not be household names to us, but if you mention their name to a person in that field, they'll go, oh, I know that person, right? So that's why I use the word notable. And so Alex he's a musical director, and he has a corn snake called Petula.
Oh.
And I love snakes. I know a lot of people are freaked out by them, but snakes are just the coolest
I
thing.
love snakes. I was the kid at camp who I wanted to be a herpetologist. I was mad for snakes, and I actually liked them because I went to a camp. It was the nature camp, and all of the animals bit me except the snake. The guinea pig
Oh,
tried to
Allison, what did
take
you
off
do to
my
those
finger.
poor animals?
Nasty little guinea pig tried to kill me. I mean, the chickens, everything tried to kill me. The bunnies, the guinea pigs. Like, this is not going well. The snakes like me. So, no, I adore snakes. Those must be great photos. And then snakes, they don't run away so much. So,
Well, no, actually, so the hardest ones to come up with concepts with are reptiles. And those are because they don't communicate the same way that mammals do. And I mean, tortoises, I've done tortoises, I've done tortoises, I've done snakes, I've done what other kind of reptilian thing have I done? Anyway, so you have to come up with a concept that incorporates what they would normally do. Like with Alex, he sits there and she crawls all over him. So that's what I did. It's they seek the heat because they're cold-blooded creatures.
and they're very sensitive to temperature, and that's the thing sometimes people don't realize with working with a snake or a reptile on stage. The wings are often very cold, and it's hot with the lights, and this will absolutely freak out your favorite
Yes,
reptile.
absolutely.
And so, if it's too cold or too hot, that snake's going to want to leave.
The thing about snakes is they don't sit still. So you really have to catch them as they're going through as they're moving through. and the idea is just to keep resetting them until you get the shape or the and in Alex's picture, it looks like they're reading together. So I thought that was it's very cute. It's all the pictures are, it's here's the Allison. It's just so strange because like most artists or most most people, when they are doing the thing they're passionate about or the thing that they really enjoy, they call it the flow. You're in the flow, right? You're in this place that it's a no place. There's no time, there's no sense of time of passage. You are just in this passion place where you are connecting with everything and everyone. And that's what happens to me when I work on my pictures. In the shoot, and then I'm processing them on my computer. And then when I'm finished with it, I'll look at the picture and go, wow, that's a great picture. Who took this picture? It's like,
how did that happen?
How did that happen? Yes, it's something that I experience all the time. And I don't know how to, I'm not trying to, express any false modesty here, but it's like, it's almost like another person has been doing these. But,
I know that, when you get in the zone, absolutely. I've seen footage of myself go, who's she?
Yeah, like, what? Yeah, I know, it is.
What did I do? When it's that zone, that flow. So, no, this sounds fabulous. Now, currently the book, it's coming out literally the 20th, so it's pre-order?
It's in pre-order. It's available at any online bookseller, wherever you get your books.
Who's jumping with the dog in the picture? I can't see.
Oh, that is okay. So Dave Scott is one of the best known hip hop dancer, choreographer, producers. He worked on Stomp. He worked on Dancing with the Stars. He worked on So You Think You Can Dance. He's choreographed. His list of accomplishments is it's absurd. All the notables in the book have a bio of so that people who don't know who they are can just be astonished at who they are. Right?
Have all of these new people. If we had
there's
Norman Lear, but the people we didn't know. Great.
And his dog is Capote. And when I first met them, that's how Capote greeted me. He jumped so high, he almost touched my face. Yeah, and I said, "Can we get him to do that?" She says, "Oh yeah, just try to stop him." So Capote just kept doing that over and over. He just jumped and jumped and jumped. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think we should let Roswell out. I can't see if I can't talk. Morticia goes, "Hey, there's the camera. I just and Greta Garbo fell down." But Roswell, so like, are you shooting? Because I'm going to go shove my face in your camera. So this book, is it going to be in stores as well as online, or just online, or what's it going to be?
No plans for that at the moment, although of course if somebody wants to stock them in their book, I would be most happy.
I would think like Book Soup and all those places would snap this up.
Yeah, we do have a bunch of PR stuff planned, some book signings. I think there's going to be an appearance at the Hollywood Museum. So there's stuff that's happening. Yeah. So I just found out that the book is also being sold in Japan, which is, and it's all in Japanese. It's hilarious. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm everywhere.
I love that, all the cute animals. Now, here is someone who, are you being good or are you being terrible? Are you being going to be terrible today? I know you're surprised because you were in the other room and suddenly you're actually being brought out here.
No,
this is Roswell. Roswell Invader Zim Schoonover is her full name. Because she's an alien. She's an alien hiding out in a cat suit. And I got her actually via the fabulous Quinn Cummings from
I know Quinn.
Yeah, because Santé d'Or, the pet rescue that she's involved with, and she was fostering this.
Does she have two different color eyes? The yellow and the green?
She's kind of like that weird Thai cat that does. I don't think she does, but she does have the weird spots and the big stripy tail. Don't you? And she's sort of like confused. Like, did you just wake up? You just like woke up. Oh, get your face. But she's very smart and very crazy and very strange. Oh, Miss Morticia, do you think she'll poke her head in? We can try. We're going to try to bring it. But Roswell has to go down because not with Roswell there. Come, Miss Morticia. I know you're weird about cameras, but just come here. Shh. It's all right. Shh. See? There you are. Hi. Hi with the golden eyes.
It's like,
Helen,
okay,
do you want to get down? You can get down. There you go. That's Miss Morticia Wigglesworth Schoonover, because when she wants down, she just turns herself into a pretzel, jumps
going
down.
over.
But my cats are gorgeous, and
Your
but only
cats
one of
are.
them really.
I'm a
They
cat
won't sit
person.
still.
I mean, I love all animals. Disclaimer: I don't. It's like, but I love cats. I have a feeling that they're all aliens in a cat suit. By the
Yeah,
way,
yeah.
cats are just so unique.
Quinn
so,
named her, she was doing like cats named after cities. She had London, Roswell, but she very early on said, no, she is Roswell, because clearly she came here in a flying saucer. The cat is not normal. And then I wound up becoming her adopter here, and we really hit it off. But she has proven herself every day to be more and more alien-like.
yeah. By the way, I met Quinn at Santa Door.
Yes.
That was my therapy. After my breast cancer, when I was going through chemo, I would walk down there. This was before they moved to Atwater. They were down on Sunset and Sunset Hollywood, and they all and I would walk there every day and pet the cats, and then go home. That was my therapy. It was therapy,
and it works, doesn't it?
It works, absolutely.
All right, so it's In Good Company is the name of the book. And it's going to be online February 20th to launch, because it's Love Your Pet Day. And absolutely everyone is in it.
Yes, and everyone is in it. Love your pet every single day, but celebrate it on Love Your Pet Day. And this would, shameless plug here, this would make a great gift for anybody who loves their pets. And, honestly, can we talk? Who doesn't love their pets, right?
That's a great gift. And it's benefiting the Apex Foundation for Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
Apex Protection Foundation. Project. So it's just like absolutely fabulous. And you gave out your website earlier. Where can we find you on websites, social media, whatnot?
So I have my own website where you can see other examples of my peoples and pets and my other stuff. I have a whole bunch of like all photographers. It's johannasigmund.com. I'm on Instagram as Supertographer. I'm on Facebook, which is Johanna Sigmund Photography. And I think my publisher has a page on me, and on my site I actually have a page, and you're going on that page. It's a page about the book, and
very good
shows, and I link directly to the podcasts and the interviews that I've been doing. So
you'll have a copy of this and everything. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for coming on.
This was so much
and
fun.
Roswell's staring at me now, going, "Who was that?" Yes. So thank you so much for coming on. This has been fabulous.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this. And thanks, everybody. Love your pet.
Thank you. Very good. And this is the Allison Arngrim Show, and I'm Allison Arngrim.
I found